everyone. This is Mish, Chief Strategist of MarketGauge.com. It is Monday, June 24th, last week of June. And the window dressing of the market that we'd like to see at the end of a month, but also the end of a quarter, could be different than what people anticipated because, as one would suspect, the ratio between the growth stocks and the small cap stocks or the value stocks had really widened out to historical proportions. So we came into this week and it was really a pretty logical conclusion of one of two things could happen. One, of course, being that everything fell apart because things got so stretched. And that would indeed bring in the ratio. Or that growth stocks would kind of take a refreshing pause, at this point we'll call it. And then some of the other areas would actually start to play catch up. And of course, the biggest fundamental reason why for that, other than the fact that we did have a very low volatility in that area, is if there is an anticipation that the economy can improve, if there's an anticipation that we still might see some rate cuts, and just basically that if growth and technology is doing that well, then that could benefit other pockets of the U.S. economy. So that's kind of the story. But let's just look at the chart, because the charts always tell a great story. And we're going to start with my Modern Family. And the Modern Family has just, been kick-ass for really predicting what's happening or where money's rotating. Now, you're looking at a chart of the Russell 2000. Now, this was a chart that was fixed in the early morning. And since then, and as I'm talking to you now, the price has come up in IWM and it's trading over 202. So if you're looking at the two lines, the blue line and then the horizontal green line, that's the 6-month calendar range, which, by the way, will be reset in July, and the 50-day moving average. So we're actually heading back into an unconfirmed bullish phase in the small caps. We're not quite exactly outperforming the SPY yet, but that would be something we'd be looking for in the leadership. And of course, in the momentum, we also are still a little bit lagging behind. So if Monday today is real, then we'll see IWM hold up over this 200, over 202, and maybe start looking at 205, 206. We get through 210, we have a whole new ball game. If we go to the next chart, this would be Grandpa's wife, so to speak, which would be Granny Retail. Also, not doing badly, but certainly underperforming the rest of the market when we look at technology. And yet, now if you're looking at this is also trading a little bit higher than when I screenshot this at over 76. It's over the 50. It's over the calendar range. You can kind of see the 200 peeking its head out down below. Still well underperforming the SPY. And again, momentum not quite catching up. So one day doth not a rotation make for more than one day necessarily. So now you know what you really have to keep your eyes on. And if we go to the next chart here, that would be regional banks. Now, this is really important as well. Not something you hear about a lot, but there were stories last week circulating about foreclosures in commercial banks. And this is regional banks are very much tied to commercial real estate. And yet, instead of absolutely falling apart, as we feared, KRE, my prodigal son in the family, always gets a pass, actually right now is back over the 200-day moving average, trading a little bit higher than that 47.44, still under the 50. But look how it's starting to catch up to the SPY on the leadership indicator. And the momentum, you had a mean reversion in that the dots crossed back over the Bollinger Band and the zero line. But again, kind of like the same story, we need to see more. If we do see more, if we see this get through the 50-day moving average and sustain, and then that horizontal red line you see above that, which is the 6-month calendar range low, then we've got ourselves a real interesting situation, and you're going to hear a lot of different media speak of all these people who have basically given up on this area and are just into tech. There is more to the market than just tech, we hope. And then the last one to round up the family here is the transportation. Now, transportation was the thing that kind of gave us the heads up not to invest in things that had been underperforming and kind of stick to the momentum. And now we're starting to see that picture change, right? Which is what I just showed you. Also in my modern family here, transportation. So take a look at this one. We have a declining slope on that 50-day moving average, and it happens to intersect right with the 6-month calendar range high, which of course is that green horizontal line. So that kind of puts it in a very interesting spot. If we can get through 66-ish and hold there, then transportation, which I think was the key to the warning not to get involved, could actually be the opposite, the key to getting in. And like I said, anticipating that the Fed might at least ease a little bit, even if it's just 0.25% in terms of interest rates. And the economy, with all the money that's gone in with infrastructure and more money planning to come into the economy for infrastructure, will start to pay off as we're in the reshoring aspect of our U.S. economy right now. And again, closer to outperforming the SPY, not quite there yet. And right now, in terms of the momentum, real motion, I think there's no divergence. We're seeing momentum improve. We're seeing price improve. So that gives you a really good 4-point view to keep your eyes on if you want to see how this week is going to go. And of course, we have earnings coming up. So maybe some of these companies in these inside sectors will have some good earnings growth. We'll see. Now, I want to leave you with a commodity because one of the other big themes, a lot of people have given up on inflation, not me, for 2 reasons. Well, 3 reasons, really. One, of course, would be the fact that energy demand and electricity demand from AI and data centers, that's real. That's going to go from 2-3% of a demand of electricity from AI and data centers to 19% is the projection. And of course, energy has a reason to exist you can't just create it out of thin air. It has to be made from natural resources like coal and natural gas. Silver that tends to benefit on all the reasons why inflation could be picked up. One, of course, would be the electricity demand because silver is used for conductivity. 2 would be the other reason why we're still looking into inflation, and that, of course, would be geopolitics. Even though things seemingly have quieted down, we know that there's always pockets that can flare up, particularly, obviously, with the Middle East, as we're getting more and more signs about Iran and Hezbollah. And then weather, as we're getting into hurricane season, we also have a big drought season happening possibly in India. I could have shown you a sugar chart. I love to look at that. And finally, with silver, we have not just the industrial use, but if we start to see any of the other commodities pick up because of any kind of geopolitical situation, gold, of course, silver looks really good. So we're going to look at that because it connects all the dots and crosses all the checkpoints. So here we go. 50-day moving average. We're above. This is the ETF, not the futures. The futures are trading close to $30. They were over it briefly last week. We'll watch for that. But if you're into the SLV, it's got a hold here at over this 50-day moving average at around, we'll call it 2650 area. We get through 2750, it starts to look good. If futures get through 31, definitely starts to look good. And you can see also on the leadership, slightly underperforming the SPY, so that's something to look out for in terms of inflation. And in the momentum, it's having a slight bearish divergence. So does it have work to do? Yes, but it would be a really good one if you wanted to just sort of cancel a lot of the noise and focus on 1 or 2 commodities. Silver would be the one that I'd be watching for right now. Okay, I hope that was helpful to you. It's certainly an interesting week. Hope you all have a great one, and I'll see you all again next week. Thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.